Bow&Bridle experience. This episode will again be a dynamic podcast, a dynamic visual podcast. I'm not sure if I just made that term up, but that's what I'm fucking calling it. What I mean by that is if you are listening to this on an audio-only platform, you are missing a lot of cool shit as opposed to watching it on YouTube. I've sliced in a lot of footage from the moment, whether it be the amenities, it be the deer, just whatever I happen to be talking about at the moment. If we had some cool footage to plug in, I plugged it. And so this isn't the first episode that I've done this dynamic video podcast, as I call it. But I'm doing something a little different this time. You're going to hear a noise. You're going to hear a boom. Yeah, did you hear that? Yeah, that noise. Anytime you hear while we're talking in conversation, that means there is something cool to see. So if you're on an audio podcast and you hear, you know you are missing some cool shit that you should be checking out on the dynamic video cast. And if you're watching this on YouTube and, you know, you are maybe gutting a deer or just working or doing your regular shit and you hear a boom drop, that means turn your attention to the screen because you're going to see some cool footage plugged in this dynamic video cast. So I think I've said it enough times. I think I've hit the button enough times. One more. Okay, I'll stop. But anytime you hear that noise, go back to the screen. You'll see something cool. Bow&Bridle, real quick. This is an experience recorded at Bow&Bridle at the lodge with his staff. Steve Impey, the man behind Bow&Bridle. Him and his wife, Carrie, have built something absolutely amazing. And something we kind of neglected to talk about just because we were talking about the experience that we were having. All of the amenities and everything else that Steve provides is also available to hunt the free range areas that he has and manages, and has some great free range deer for the area. And, you know, it's funny, we hardly get into that. But again, you know, if that's your thing, you can take advantage of all the amazing amenities and provisions and the experience provided by Bow&Bridle and yet keep that, you know, full free range. So, yeah, let's go ahead, get into this episode.
You were born primal. You were born primal.
What the fuck's up, y'all? Modern Assassin. This time, not on the farm. Well, more like a preserve, a Jurassic Park, a whitetail hunter's heaven. We are here in upstate New York with Steve, his helpers. We are here at Bow&Bridle, and we are going to get into some kick-ass shit. Stay tuned. This episode kills it. All right, y'all. As I just explained, we ain't on the farm this time. Instead of sitting in my shitty little kitchen recording a podcast, I am sitting in an absolutely beautiful, handcrafted wood lodge with a roaring fireplace, ridiculous amounts of bone sitting by the fireplace on each corner table, and I am anchored into a leather couch with a full belly of steak and shrimp and lobster and all kinds of good shit that Cabin Bitch, self-proclaimed name, Brad has provided for us here at Bow&Bridle. We're going to start, and to my left, I want to start off by thanking my man East Coast Trev. He's running the soundboard for me tonight because, you know, I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing yet. So, Trevor, thank you. How you doing, my man?
What's up, G? Thanks for having me, bro.
We're moving on. My guide for today, and a guy I can call friend already, Farmer Bob. How you doing, brother?
Not too bad. You living a dream.
Shit. You are correct. You are living the dream. I am loving this. This is a dream. Next down the line, the man of the hour, the whitetail master himself, Steve. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great today, Garrett. Appreciate it. There, Modern Assassin.
You're sitting there, lounged out in the lazy boy, pimping, loving life.
His belly's full. He's ready to go.
I have to admit, I am really comfortable right now after that meal you described.
You have, man. I always say you're only a company, or this isn't necessarily a company, but it's something you build is only as good as the people you comprise it of. It doesn't matter what you have, what you built. It's only as good as the people you hire, the people you have help. And I can honestly say that the help that you've got here is really, really top notch. From Brad taking care of us from the moment we entered the lodge.
Hey, be careful here. They might ask for a raise or something like that, you know?
Well, yeah. Well, hold Brad back on that, because there has nothing been written on the board for the past 2 times I walked in the door, and I am a little disappointed with that, because I tell you what, he's a funny-ass dude, and it has been a treat just, the way you guys have brought us in here, the way we have just had so much fun, been able to be ourselves, and truly let you guys be yourselves. We quickly became friends.
Yeah, for those of you out there in radio or podcast land, I guess is what it should be called. The board is a small whiteboard in our mudroom when you first come in, and there's creative language and notes on there for each of our hunters every day. We hope those notes are successful, but sometimes they're not.
I guess some people don't always have a sense of humor.
Yes.
And right there, as you enter the lodge where the board is, there's also another plaque that displays the menu, which I don't care which way you read it, which language you read, it's fucking amazing. I mean, top notch.
Bear Balls does a great job.
Bear Balls does
Bear
it.
balls.
Bear balls.
Bear Balls.
How you doing, Bear balls?
I'm good. You, Bubba?
Y'all, this is Brad. He is the self-proclaimed cabin bitch, but for real, he is the man. We have had a lot of fun with him, and I honestly can say it's been above and beyond. I'm kind of almost like, hey, back up a minute. Like, I can wipe my own ass. I'll be all right. I'm a big boy. I do know how to take care of myself. But, no, for real, Brad has been an exceptional host for anything we need, and things we don't even know we need have been provided. So, nickname Bear Balls, please explain, because I will say that was a little weird when I'm like, hey, here's your cook, Bear Balls. So please tell us how you got this name.
So first of all, if I can step back, you guys make it easy. You're good to have in camp. You're easy to cook for. You no complaints ever.
Is that because we mostly just get drunk and pass out early?
That's got something to do with it, probably.
Okay, continue.
When I came down to get the job, I said to Steve, we were going over the menu, and I said, if you give anybody enough Manhattans before dinner, they'll eat whatever you put on the plate. So,
the trick, and it worked. Damn it.
Yes. The food really sucks. You just don't realize it.
Well, I will say, we get home from long days of true hard hunting, as hard as you're going to put in anywhere else, the time you're going to put anywhere else. That's no bullshit. And obviously, when we're out hunting, we're not really drinking and everything else. But when we get back to the lodge, we have a couple drinks. Brad has a hot meal ready for us. Bear Balls.
Okay, so the Bear Balls thing. I attempted a thru hike of the Appalachian Trail last February. And on the trail, you get a trail name. You can give yourself a trail name, or somebody can give you one.
That's not self-proclaimed, is it?
Hell no.
Okay, continue.
No. So I thought because you go ultralight and it's a thing, you don't wear underwear on the trail. You don't have to carry any. You don't have to carry extras. You just go kamikaze. Why I did this, I don't know. I thought it'd be a good idea to do a little manscaping, not wear underwear, and hike 20 miles a day. 2 days in, it wasn't such a good idea because being ultralight, I didn't bring the stuff to keep manscaping.
Sounds like a marathon with sand in a thong.
Yeah.
Does not sound pleasant at all by any means.
And it wasn't. So I met a couple guys the first couple days, and I'm hiking with them. Didn't have a trail name yet. And we're going up one of the ledges, and I said, fellas, little advice. Don't do your manscaping and come down here without underwear. It's not working out too good for me right now. So one of them turned around and he said, that's it. Bear Balls, that's your name.
How long ago was this?
That was last February.
Well, you're a badass for doing that just last February, I will say. But it's pretty awesome that name is stuck. And, yep, that's how we know Brad, Bear Balls.
So just to use my son's comment, I'm good now. Now it looks like a tater tot fell in a bearskin rug. So.
Oh, fair enough. That, for those of you watching this on YouTube and not just the audio podcast, there will not be a spliced visual of that. Actually, no, I need to find a tater tot in a bear rug and put that in for real. So, as we were talking about with Bow&Bridle here and Steve, the team he has built is what really makes it's what makes everything up. So
I love how you can say that with a straight face after the cook says his name's Bear Balls and how he got it.
I've heard a lot worse. I mean, maybe it's just me. My podcasts usually come with an explicit warning, and it's just, it is what it is. You're my kind of people, I guess. It's, we fall right in. Farmer Bob, yeah, that's a little more simple. We need to come up with something like Coyote Bob. Yeah.
No. Farmer Bob's way easier.
Coyote Bob's pretty good, though. We are going to have to get you on for an episode to talk straight up dog hunting coyotes because that is epic. But while we're here talking Bow&Bridle, you are a big, important piece of this. And I think Steve would say almost you're kind of right-hand man, go-to guy when he needs help or has questioning. And after hunting with Steve and after as much time as I've spent with you and set with you today, I can honestly say you guys are on the same page. You kind of almost know where each one wants to go. I mean, obviously, Steve, he's the boss man here at the Whitetail Ranch, and he knows what's best. He knows this land. He knows these animals. It's one word that comes to mind to describe Steve, and mine was analytical, and that's because you are very calculated in what you do. You are very organized in what you do. And it's all done with purpose and pre-thought, premeditated. Nothing is random. And that's almost the way whitetails are, except for the rut right now. A lot of random shit happens. But other than that, it's a lot of calculated things going on. Where's your role fall in with this, Bob? Because obviously you are, like I said, you're only as good as the people you comprise and work with. And you're a top-notch dude, and I said this to Steve, sitting on the stand, that you're kind of, your wisdom is almost a little beyond your years with these whitetail. You're a young guy, but, I mean, you know a lot of things that I had no clue about at your age. Now, you get to learn some amazing things from being with Steve and being in a place with this, obviously. But I can tell you guys may not always look at things the same way, which is good. Because if you always see shit the same way, you don't progress, you don't question yourself, you don't look at things from a different perspective. But so, kind of just a little bit, what is your role here at the Bow&Bridle?
Well, if you ask Steve, he'd tell people I'm the farm manager, but Steve and I do pretty much everything together. We always go back and forth. We always talk about what we need to do for the day. Pretty much day to day, we always got something we need to fix, something to improve.
The title farm manager is because you...
He's Farmer Bob.
Farmer Bob.
I mean, it comes from like planting food plots in the springtime. We start in the spring we start with switchgrass, so that's pretty much like I line that up. My best friend Tyler, I try and sell everything to him, line that up. Then we go right into planting food plots, and then on to putting our e-fences up, which we were going to touch back onto, and then managing tree stands, going over trimming lanes, which I know I always get my balls busted on. I mean, come on.
Anytime there's not a clean shot. Bravo, you didn't trim that lane
it's either not a clean lane or not a level stand. I mean, I have to carry a level around because Steve's pretty anal about them stands, and I am too, but...
He likes a good meal, a good hotel, and a good stand. And I tell you what, top-notch in all three of those categories he's particular about. And... Brad takes care of the first two. He takes care of the food and the quote-unquote hotel, the lodging. And obviously, you're a big part of your job is he is particular about his tree stands, where he wants them, how he wants them set, what stands he uses. And it's very important because when you're out there spending hours at a time, and when you're getting out there and it's 4 degrees... it's not always the most comfortable and pleasant thing. So the fact that you guys take that much into it, it really is to, not just the hunter, but your delight as well. After a couple days, I'm like, man, Bob's a solid dude. Like, I can just tell it. And it's kind of funny. Bob knows one person in Maryland. One. And he randomly asked me, hey, do you know this guy? I said, yeah, he's like my neighbor. He lives on the same street as my grandparents. Like, I pass his farm a couple times a week. And just knowing the type of dude he was and how hard he works, I guess Bob may not want me to associate him with what did you call him, the mayor of?
Oh, yeah, the mayor of Cobleskill, I think.
Okay, so anyone that knows that will know who he is. But, yeah, I could just tell Bob's a solid, hard-working dude. So, yeah, so we've talked to Brad. We've talked to Bob a little bit, talking about the sanctuary areas and all that Steve leaves literally untouched unless sometimes maybe not with his blessing. His wife goes in with the shed dogs to look for sheds once a year because I'm not sure she could get away with more than that. But, they leave a sanctuary area because, I will say these deer are fucking wild animals. I have been hunting, I don't even know what day it is anymore. Been hunting every fucking day. Scent crushing, showers, access, obviously one of the most important things. All these, again, you're analytical, you're calculated. These are the things that are important to killing any whitetail. And the fact that these whitetail literally will not let you get away with anything extra than anywhere else in the world is what made me want to come here, really, and see what you've created. Because, as the guy said, when they, got us in contact, they said, I'm not sure if this is something you'd even be interested in. And my first thought was, well, it all depends how it's run. So when we first spoke, you talked about you've killed a lot of free-range deer, and you've killed, some exceptional free-range deer in the area. You and Marcus have hunted together a long time, and you've both killed exceptional whitetails for your area. And you said, I've done this. I've got the biggest that are out there. I want to get bigger, but I want to continue to hunt, and in the true manner of hunting. And I guess not trying to put words in your mouth, but I believe that's kind of what you've created for yourself here. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, we ignore the fence in every way, shape, or form, right? Sure, it's a physical barrier and it's there, but...
And I think the deer do too, for the most part.
Yeah,
they
know their boundaries, right?
But they aren't... It doesn't seem like they're limited because of it, though.
Well,
you have such a
large
architecture.
Area. That's exactly. Architecture and design, though. We've taken our property and, first identified the sanctuary areas that we wanted or had already, and then built around those sanctuaries that existed, right? So we left travel areas in between. We didn't right up against them, but we left travel areas in between to hunt. And then we strategically located and built our food plots, off a few hundred yards, if not more, in some cases thousands of yards back, to then draw the deer from the sanctuaries through the travel areas into our food plots, and then back and forth, your traditional free-range hunting, right? But we own the property, obviously, and so we are able to, even if that takes, a chainsaw, a logger, a bulldozer, and creating,
And
a
Farmer
field,
Bob.
a plot, and Farmer Bob, right, where one didn't exist, but based on where the deer like to come to and from, or where their current sanctuary is, we wanted a plot in this area to hunt over. It might be a small kill plot, if you will, of clover and chicory. It might be a larger plot of corn and soybeans, and rye and radishes and things like that. So we've manipulated the property to have these hunting areas, whether they're what I call, morning or night, which I think are different, or travel corridors where you could hunt either morning or night based on wind direction. So it's all by design.
Absolutely, and I mean it really shows that deer, whitetail behavior, and like you said, there are spots that are morning.
They really aren't. And they really aren't that complicated. I think that
now it's almost more complicated this time of year.
Yeah, but
because it's chaotic.
I think as an industry, it's over complicated. Sometimes maybe for marketing reasons or product reasons or things like that.
Well,
right?
One of the things I was about to bring up is something so in depth that it is probably complicated to a lot, and maybe your understanding of not only your property but whitetails, that maybe you almost maybe you don't recognize how deep this goes, and it's kind of almost an understanding for you. So as you mentioned, you are architecturing the land to have prime whitetail habitat and sometimes influence movement or provide food or provide destination and all these things. And everyone knows wind. Wind is king. Wind is the most important. Wind is the number one dominant. But where it gets complicated, and one of the things I've noticed in your stand placements, your watering holes, your food plots, your bedding, everything, is your understanding and your specific use of elevation change. A lot of people overlook those small things about how the topo map is kind of the next important thing to the wind. And a lot of people may just, again, that's pretty deep whitetail knowledge, and it may be something that, because your whitetail knowledge is so deep, that it may just come second nature to you. But, what are some of the things that you look at and say, okay, this is where I want to put a food plot in, or this is where I want to leave bedding. So just a few key things on that of how you design the architecture.
Well, I mean, each area has a predominant wind direction, and each property obviously has different, elevations and terrain. So, first we usually start, we always start with maps, whether it's our own property or, anywhere, public land or a hunt we're going to go on or anything like that. And the beauty of today, right, is that's on your cell phone. In the old days, I'd have printed out maps. I think we had this conversation.
I forgot
right?
my cell phone 2 times in a row, and that never happens because I always have to look at where I'm going, the wind, the GPS, and I got the man guide me, so I literally just forgot my phone because I didn't have to look at the specs and decide what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, so we use the elevation and the terrain, and we identify it with maps, and we identify edges and, pinch points and funnel areas, all the core stuff that a lot of great, folks that have been on you guys' show in the past have talked about. We do the same thing, and sometimes we use that elevation for access come in from the downside so that when we walk into a stand, you're hidden behind a ridge or whatnot. And when you climb up a stand, boom, out in front of you is a, flat level, food plot.
For both the visuals and as Bob and I were speaking this evening for the thermals.
Yeah. We take those into consideration.
Absolutely. There's, again, analytical.
Yeah,
I don't think there's much you didn't take into consideration.
We'll go to the extreme and wind map a stand if we need to, right? So, if you've got a rough area, you can wind map that stand. You go out to that stand on a north, south, east, and west wind direction per the weather, and bring some floaters with you and throw those floaters up there on a north wind. You throw those floaters up there on a south wind. You throw it up on a west. You throw it up on an east, and you make a note of what actually happened when there was a north, south, east, or west wind direction. Because that stand, that's not what's going to happen. That stand might have a south when it's saying it's going to be west on a west. So then if the forecast says, hey, it's going to be west, that particular stand's going to be south. And you don't hunt there, or you do hunt there based on if that's correct. But at least you know what's going to happen at that particular stand.
And we experienced that this evening, and it's one of the things that, again, you've built a solid dude in Bob, and after hunting with you several days and hunting with him, he's taken what you've given him. So. Rest easy knowing he really does. You guys hunt a lot alike. You take the same things into consideration. You've got the right dude for the job.
Yeah, we've been hunting together for a number of years now.
Yeah,
so.
and we
just a few.
Yeah, we experienced that tonight. It was we got up in the stand and we're feeling the wind hit the back of our neck, and we're like, shit, this ain't right. We're like, all right, what time is it supposed to switch? When's it supposed to switch? Is it maybe not going to switch? Should we maybe move? And right away he said, well, let's see. Pulled out some material for floaters, and we would let it go, and the wind's at the back of our neck. And as soon as it would reach the end of the tree line, and you'd no longer have the tree line blocking, it would suck straight down to the right. And right over where the predicted wind was kind of saying, but when you're sitting in that stand, you're feeling it hit the back of your neck, and I know you don't place your stands to feel the wind at the back of your neck. Right. So we were kind of like, man, not so sure about this. But, again, like you were saying, you a lot of times you have to wind map. You can't go off just what your app's telling you. And it did. We would watch the floaters go out, and as soon as it was out of the cover of the trees, it would go the direction it was supposed to.
We'll hunt what we perceive to be lesser stands, if you will, just all based on wind. Wind dictates where our starting point is, right? So it starts with wind. What's the wind going to be today? What's it actually going to do? Okay, it's going to be, south. Okay, that means we can hunt this quadrant of the farm. Okay, is it morning? Is it night? Okay, it's morning. Is it the rut or is it September? What time is it? And now we're down to a small subset of stands. Okay, how many hunters are hunting? Okay, great. What's it going to do tomorrow morning? And what's it going to do tomorrow night? Okay, it's going to be this and it's going to be that. Okay, well, let's go to this stand and this stand because tomorrow we can get into this one, and this one's good for morning, and it's good for this exact wind, and it's, the rut, and it's up against bedding and blah, blah, blah. So we look at all those types of things and then narrow it down, and typically you narrow it down to a handful of choices. We don't look at it and say, well, I really want to get into this stand because, we saw so-and-so over there the other day. That doesn't mean anything to us.
That's never number one.
This is your week, right? Or however long you're hunting with us, and this is your experience, and we want to make sure that experience is fantastic for you, whether it's everything you talked about earlier with lodging and food and things like that, but it's also your hunting experience, right? We look at it and we say we have 10 sits with the typical 10 sits with our clients, friends, as we like to call them, that come in to hunt, and we say, okay, how do we maximize that in every way, shape, or form, right? Do you climb a ladder? Do you climb sticks? Do you like blinds? Are you a lefty? Are you a righty? Are you afraid of heights? Did you bring a safety belt? Do you get cold easy? Is there anything that we need to know, right, about you, about your style of hunting, and maybe what you haven't tried before and that you want to try? So we try to get to know our friends, our clients, early on so that we can provide the best experience for them while also maximizing the opportunity to harvest a whitetail, to kill a whitetail, right? To whatever their goal is for that week.
And on the other part of it, same thing. Is there any foods you like or don't like? Is there any foods
sure.
you are allergic to? Is there anything particular you would like to drink? Any type of beer you'd like to have here? It's been a hell of a learning experience for us all, for sure. And getting to witness big bucks doing big buck things during the rut has been obviously something we kind of dream about. And then day one, literally, the first deer that came through, I looked at you and I was just like, what the fuck? Like
Pretty much that's how it went.
it was almost like the dreams are close to recognized right there.
But I think that's the beauty of it, though. We are truly able to manage and manipulate and control, buck to doe ratios and things like that. So you get what everyone, perceives to be, chasing and the rut and the grunting and the bleeding and the, every hunter, I think, dreams about seeing that and being in their stand, right? I mean, I know I did when I grew up hunting, and the one time here or there I got to see it, I was, all geeked out by it, right? Well, we provide that experience on a regular basis because of the environment that we've created in our whitetails, the way that they act like whitetails that you envision or dream about, that type of stuff happening. You can rattle them in, right? You see and hear all the time, oh, rattling works in Texas, but nowhere else or whatnot. That's not true, right? With the right types of deer and design and structure and age groups and ratios and things like that at the right time of year, they come into grunt calls. They come into rattling, right? I mean, you see massive scrapes and big rubs and broken tines and fights and, 3 deer chasing the same doe, all over the place, running them ragged, right? I mean, you see everything, I think, that as a hunter you want to see. And that's what bit me at a very early age. That's, along with what we talked about in episode 1, the whole habitat and the management side of it. But along with that, what bit me, was and caught me was that you can actually create an environment that happens, and you get to see that and you get to hunt that.
But at the same time, what makes that so magical is when you get to witness and experience that with wild animals.
Sure.
And we can't call it free range.
Nope.
But I can honestly, 100%, raw, real, no fucking bullshit, say that these are fair chase animals. And these are wild animals. I mean, they're not going to let you get away with anything.
No. They're going to see you move. They're going to smell you.
Absolutely.
They're going to,
Absolutely.
They're going to do all the same things
if a deer
that
gets
any other
downwind,
whitetail
it's
does.
going to stomp and blow at you, and
they're
you're going to wish
they're going to
he
head
was
bob
dead.
when you're in the tree, like, I know you're there, but you're not there. But I know you're there, but you're not there. Like, they're going to do all those same things.
Exactly, and that's what everyone wants to experience is, again, like I said, I want to experience these big bucks doing big buck things.
Sure.
And you forget where you are because of the way shit goes down, except for the fact that, there's a 200-incher to the left, and then you're like, I heard a grunt, and you turn around, and it's a Boone and Crockett 8.1-year-old. Besides that, you it's as real as it gets, and
it's back to experience.
Here's a perfect example. Been getting up every morning, taking care of scent control, showers, everything, access the most important, wind choice the most important, stand choice, if we choose to do any calling or what transition we're hunting and why, whether it's due to the weather, the time of day, or anything. And I got to draw my bow back once. And we have been at this damn near all day, every day. And I've got to draw my bow back once, and I didn't get to release an arrow because it was an old, mature deer and he just knew something he didn't like. And he didn't bust us. It was just a random situation with a dual occurrence of him touching his nose to a decoy and another doe being chased and jumped by a buck in the cornfield. And the two kind of simultaneously freaked him out a little bit, just like it would a wild whitetail, a wild animal anywhere else. And that is what is so amazing about this. You're not sitting over feeders.
No, we don't hunt feeders.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we may have touched on that in episode 1 as well, but it's just not, it's certainly in parts of the country and in other facilities, it makes sense to do that, whether that's your business model or it's just what you have to do. I mean, heck, it's hard to see a deer in Texas if you don't corn a sendero or whatnot. But our model is not that. We do have them on the property for deer health, but we don't hunt them. We don't have a single stand over them.
And you're not saying, oh, well, we're not hunting them, and then you're hunting a trail 50 yards off of them either.
No,
There's no bullshit.
We stay
there.
off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the things we were talking about is, you know this about whitetails, but getting to see and experience a territorial dominance. There are certain spots, like the cornfield with the adjacent bean field, with the switchgrass next to it. That's Double D's area. There is no, and I'm pretty sure, you and I were looking at the dragging tracks through the snow. Bob and I saw him and then saw the tracks. We're pretty sure that's his big ass leaving them tracks, because you and I watched him literally do laps around this cornfield and through this switchgrass bedding, almost herding these does into a cornfield and literally making laps just to make sure he's got all his does in there and ain't nobody else coming to play in his playground.
Yeah, they're extremely territorial. I mean, like I said earlier, you take one out and another one shows up, right? It's just a question of who's going to be boss next. So they certainly earn that, as you guys seen, broken tines and scars and, blood on the sides of their neck and the drag-out fights that they have. And one goes away, limping with its tail between its ass, and, the other one's the king. And, certainly we I don't want to say encourage that, but by taking out your top age deer that are like that, you open the door for the next deer down, if you will, to then come up and own that territory. But more importantly, not just own that territory, but breed certain amounts of doe, right? I mean, you might have the best looking 2-year-old in the world, but when your property or house or area or whatever you want to call it is dominated by a dominant buck that is just ruling the roost, and maybe they're not as big as this, big, beautiful 2-year-old that you have, that 2-year-old's probably not going to get the chance to breed as much as you would like, because you have these dominant bucks that are controlling these territories. So shooting them, at the right age and the right time allows for other bucks to then become the dominant buck and then breed the does and spread their genetics. So it's very important in the whole ecosystem of what you're trying to build. I mean, I don't need year over year over year over year over year, the 5-year-old, then 6-year-old, then 7-year-old ruling that roost and breeding all those does. I want those younger bucks to come up, all right, and breed. And at the same time, we're culling out or managing out the inferior ones, so that before they get to that age of breeding, that 2-year-old or 3-year-old, that they are what we want and they're not, something inferior, so that when we take out that top buck in that area, we're not ending up with an inferior buck that comes in behind them. So that's where the importance of managing and culling deer come into play.
I've always kind of related that with analogy of, you think of a neighborhood and money is no object. So if money was no object, the mansion on top of the hill in the neighborhood, the most badass motherfucker around, is always going to live there.
Sure.
Until he gets his ass kicked by the next most badass motherfucker around, he's going to be the one on the mansion on top of the hill hanging out with all the bitches.
Well, it's also just like, society, though. The women rule the roost, right? So, I mean, the does are the does. I mean, they're getting the cream of the crop. They're getting what they want. So, first and foremost, they're taking the A spots and the A sections, and it works the same way with them, right? If you've got these old dominant does that, may not even breed anymore, right? They're going to control those areas the same way. They're going to get the best bedding and so on and so forth. So it kind of goes back to Mama Bear all the time still.
And that's not just because his wife is here. Just saying. This is real whitetail knowledge, all right? Does in check.
Hey, you want big bucks, have does. Have happy does. You don't have too many. You have to balance that
Well,
off
and one
as
of the
well,
things I said to you is like, well, a lot of people don't take into consideration that 50% of your genetics come from does, and you corrected me on that.
Way more.
That's something that I fear, mom and dad, half and half, but no, you're the mad whitetail scientist, and it's things like that are important. So not only is your management of the bucks important, but your management of the does is equally important in that, and adding to, like you said, not letting those same deer breed over and over, adding the genetic diversity and everything else. But again, you can see certain bucks rule certain areas and become very territorial. One of the things that was pretty crazy today is, and one of the things I think and on a positive note, on the last episode of East Coast Bow Hunting Podcast with Steve and talking about Bow&Bridle, one of the things I talked about is, I've been whitetail hunting a long time and had a lot of different experiences in the woods, and I take all these pieces of information and I catalog them. And here, having the deer, having the competition, and everything else, I've been able to do a couple things to almost, in a way, kind of prove or solidify some different things that I've kind of thought. And one of the ones Bob and I had today is we did have one mature doe bust and blow on us today. And as soon as she did and bounded off, I grabbed my grunt call right away and did grab that nor'easter. Shout out, shameless or shameful, whatever. Nor'easter game calls, get them in close. And I ripped just a long grunt and then another short aggressive grunt to sound like a buck running after, because now you hear that doe blow and you hear her stomping and running. And, Bob kind of looked at me a second like, well, you think you're going to call her back or something? And I just said to him, like, I've always kind of just had this thought that if a doe blows and alerts to the spot you're at, sure, I'm not going to fool her. But any other deer that may audibly hear that, if I can make them think it's other deer activity or something else, maybe they won't be spooked by it. And literally right after that, we hear something, and it was Halftail, right? Yeah. Halftail came in, pissed the fuck off. He came in fired up, swelled up, postured up, looking for whoever just roared at his does and chased him away from his little food plot area. And yeah, it's just been so amazing to get to experience.
You mean does blow inside the preserve? Really?
That's what I'm saying. You ain't getting away with shit.
Does that happen?
You ain't getting away with shit.
Well, doesn't every pimp make sure their does blow?
I don't. This is more of a personal belief of mine, based on years of hunting both free range and preserves, not just my own, but it's my belief that a preserve deer is more in tune with their environment than a free-range animal.
Elaborate, please.
A preserve deer knows every nook and cranny of where they live. Period.
And the operation.
Period. They never get driven out by change in the environment they live in, right? Your neighbor farmers farming his fields, growing corn, growing soybeans, right?
Get out of here.
Right? And then, 1 minute the farm goes, bankrupt, heavens forbid, and It's no longer this great piece of property for whitetails, and the whitetails shift and, go someplace else, and now they live there, right? And they figure out that environment next. So everything's always changing around you in a free-range world, right? Somebody, buys a
sells
big
the farm and builds a neighborhood.
Right? It turns into a 200-house complex, right? So that changes everything within your block. In our environment, that doesn't happen, right? It's consistent. Year after year after year after year after year. So do they know it? Oh, yeah, they know it. They know every nook and every cranny of what is there and what is not there, right? We talked about this briefly today. If I walked into your house and I took your coffee table and I put a bunch of stuff on it or I moved it or whatnot, you're instantly going to pick that up probably when you come home, right? They know. Exactly. That's their world, and it's their world that doesn't change all that much, unlike the free-range environment that can be out there. Yeah, we're always looking for whether it's free-range property or land to grow our preserve, certainly. And expansion comes in many ways. It doesn't just come from adding acreage, right? It comes from property manipulation. It comes from moving food sources. It comes from timber management and logging and things like that. So. That list and the things that Bob does that he was talking about earlier, it's long, it's deep, and for me it's 2 years. It's 2 years out. So yes, always looking to expand and make things better for ourselves and for our clients. Yeah, I mean the property was built for personal usage, right? It was built with what's in my head and how I want to hunt, and Bob,
you live there,
and Bob now as well, right? And so everything we do there isn't necessarily done thinking, okay, we're going to have clients come. Yeah, now there are some things that we have to do, like put up a ladder stand. I'm a stick and 25 feet up in the air with a double.
The higher the better.
Yeah, right. I mean that's how we hunt. However, we do recognize that if we have friends, as we like to call them, and that's what they are, come and hunt, that we need to cater to some of their needs as well. But the property at the end of the day is my wife and I. Property and how we design it. And my wife has horses and a horse facility, and so that's worked into the property. And we have miles and miles of trails around our switchgrass, which take endless amounts of time to maintain. But I think you guys can attest that they're groomed. They are groomed like people's front yards, right? I mean, I am very, very particular about my trails. So the property was built, based on what we like how we want it, and very particular about each aspect of it and what we do and what we don't do and what we add year over year or what we change.
You're bringing in friends.
Yeah, we are not, Bow&Bridle is not created to be a large commercial place, right? It's just not. It's a place, again, that my wife and I enjoy and live on.
And you're here hanging out
every day
as friends
every night. I eat dinner. Exactly. I eat dinner with you guys every night. I guide with you every morning. I hang out with you all day long. I'm not just an owner of a place that isn't around. I like to do this, right? We like to do this. So we look for folks that are like-minded and like us, right? That one, love to hunt, truly like to hunt, love to archery hunt first, and that's not a knock on gun hunting or any other types of hunting, because we certainly will, have those folks if they're folks we think that this is a fit for. We have a very open and honest conversation, I should say, with anyone that we talk with about coming, each year. And that's only 6 to 8 people, somewhere in that range, give or take, each year. And again, we consider them friends, but we're honest and open. We don't hunt over feeders. People hear preserve or fence or whatnot, and they, right or wrong, and I'm not knocking other people's business models. It's a different business model. They think they can come and hunt over a feeder. They think that maybe they need a one-day hunt. They think that maybe they don't need to shower. They think that they're gonna sit on a blind, again, with a feeder out in front of them. And again, that's not a knock. All the business models are different. That's not ours, though. And we look for folks that are like-minded. We look for folks that are gonna get up at 4 a.m. every single day, right? We look for folks that are gonna shower, mandatory. That's how we roll, every morning. we look for folks that are going to utilize a scent crusher or a locker or whatnot, right? And come with the proper attire and, you know, have hunted out of tree stands and can pass a proficiency test. So yes, I mean, we look for a certain type of hunter, and if it's not right for them and it's not right for us, it doesn't make sense. We're not going to try and be something we're not. Our place is designed in a certain way, and we think that if the right people come, that they'll have the right experience and enjoy it versus someone else that might have a different expectation.
And you say, you know, guys that are like-minded and, you know, like to hunt and everything, but I can very much attest to this. You don't just like to hunt, you like to kill.
Oh, sure. There's an end game.
I can
that's the gold pot at the end of the rainbow.
Exactly. But for a lot of people, when they think a preserve or something, you think, oh, well, that deer didn't get killed. And they're like, good, can sell it to someone else. That's nowhere near the case with you at all. I mean, you want these deer dead. When we had that opportunity, I was at full draw on that management buck, and we both, you know, we were eaten up by it. But one of the things that stands out the most is, you know, even the whole walk back. And here's the other thing. Yes, he's got Rangers, he's got vehicles, and he can has these access, and he can accommodate to a hunter's needs. But you're not just driving up to the bottom of a stand or anything either. So
we got drop points and walk points,
and it's a good walk in. So that good walk back out, you and I are replaying what happened, and we're whispering because, you know, we're walking back, but as soon as we got into the Ranger and closed the doors, you grabbed the wheel and started shaking her, just like, ah! You were so eaten up that I didn't release an arrow. I mean, maybe even more so than I didn't get to release an arrow. So again, you know, it's the like-minded of not only those that like to hunt, but you know, you want to see the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow or the blood trail.
Yeah. I'm a highly competitive person, and you know, part of the thrill, the chase, the experience for me is the success at the end of it, right? And when you get that close, and it doesn't come to fruition, that's hunting, right? And that's going to happen over and over and over again. But as the, you know, perfectionist and the competitive person in me, my mind is thinking, man, I was so close to doing every single thing right that I need to do to put you in the position to harvest that, to kill that animal, right? The blind was in the right spot. The wind direction was right. We had the decoy out at the right time. We were in the stand at the right time. We were scent proof, and every single thing came together other than that last little itty bitty piece, which every hunter knows happens over and over and over again. But for me, I'm sure like a lot of other hunters out there, it eats me up. Like I was so freaking close, right?
It fuels the fire.
For me, it is 2007 Patriots trying to go 19-0, right? And you go 19-1 because of a helmet catch. Like that's what happened to me in the blind, and it's just like it'll just eat at me until the next time we do it and we get it successful.
I fucking love it. I mean, I do, and this I've loved this entire experience, and it's the lodge and the hunting barn and camaraderie experience and the hunting experience are almost two completely different things, yet they are one and the same here, and it's been fucking amazing. You know, I can honestly say I can't wait for you to come down and bring Farmer Bob down and take you guys out to shoot some snakeheads and everything.
That's gonna be fun.
Working class outdoorsmen, hit us up. You'll find the baddest bow fishing boat on the East Coast, and I'm gonna bring you guys down and just, you know, so.
You got some,
but you know, and I'm not only asking, you know, or offering to have you guys come down, stay with me, and go fishing as a way to kind of repay, but because honestly, I look at you guys as my friends. This has been a ton of fun. You know, we're an hour into this. We got to get up early hunting tomorrow. But yeah, that, you know, Bob's one word for you was family, and like you said, you bring friends in here, and it's just a complete wholesome experience. What you have created is amazing, and if you can't enjoy this, he ain't living. I mean, you've created kind of what everyone almost wishes they live, and we, everyone that I've spoke to will attest that you've worked very hard for this. There ain't nothing come easy, and again, you're analytical, you're calculated, and it's putting the pieces together over time that has created this. And honestly, it's hard to say thank you enough for inviting us into what is your home and your property and your hard work. And, and thank Bear Balls and thank Bob, because honestly, the way that they have treated us, I can't find anything that we could ask for we're not accommodated to.
I mean, it's the same thing that I said yesterday, right? Stay open-minded, whether it's anything in life, right? There's a lot of talk in the hunting industry about free range and fair chase, and, with social media, there's a lot of folks that will comment about what's a trophy and what's not a trophy, and, what one person might shoot versus another, and I just think that as a hunting community, we all need to band together, whatever type of hunting that is, right? And we need to support each other and support the youth and grow the numbers. So my message is still the same. It's stay open-minded, regardless of whether that's free range, a preserve, hunting anywhere around the world, man, female, whatever, right? We need to stay open-minded. We need to support each other. We need to continue to grow. We need to continue to lead by example, though, as well, right? You can't, expect X, Y, and Z if you don't lead by example. So my message is still the same. Stay open-minded. Don't judge a book by its cover until you actually have tried it, right? If you haven't tried hunting in a preserve, then I'm not quite sure how you could comment on hunting in a preserve until you have. And maybe if you do, you will think differently about it, but the one thing you will be educated on the differences, and you can then form your own opinion, whatever opinion that might be. And that's what I appreciate about all you coming out this week and spending time with us here at Bow&Bridle, is that you were open-minded about it. You wanted to experience it for yourselves so that you had an understanding of what it was truly like. Yeah, from the Bow&Bridle perspective, sure, and maybe they're not all the same, but at least you were open-minded about coming here, spending a week with us and seeing what it was all about, so that you can go back into yourselves or whatnot and educate, as you guys are doing, right, out there with your podcast, trying to grow numbers and educate folks and things like that. You can speak intelligently now about what it was truly like to hunt, behind a fence, as they like to call it. So, but you guys were all, and I appreciate it, and thank you all for being open-minded like that and trying to understand so that you can grow the hunting industry and folks get more hunters out there. So I truly thank you all for coming and appreciate the friendship that we have created. But let's stay open-minded out there.
Absolutely, and I can attest to that is truth in what you speak. That's all real, no bullshit. One of the things that I actually really respect and appreciate through all our hours we spent on stand this week is how often you would ask me my thoughts or my opinion on what would go down. Because one thing that I repeat a lot is anyone that thinks they know everything, they're the last person I want to talk to. And I really do respect and kind of honor that you valued my opinion on certain things.
My wife tells me I ask too many questions.
You're analytical. You're putting together all the pieces. And, so I really do appreciate that, you even took into consideration, hey, maybe you can even learn something from a guy like me.
Heck yeah.
And so we'll end on that. Don't think you know everything. Don't judge a book by its cover. Get out. Experience the shit, learn the shit, share the shit. And so once again, I want to say thank you to Farmer Bob, Steve, the Whitetail Man here at Bow&Bridle, Bear Balls back there washing dishes and making us cocktails. Well, I shouldn't have said Bear Balls and cocktails. Brad making us a drink back there. Thank you, sir. And a special thanks to my man, East Coast Trev, who's sitting over here. A little droopy-eyed because I've kept him up past his bedtime to help me run the soundboard here. I appreciate it. Powered by Scranton Motorsports. Motherfuckers!
Can't say thank you enough or really put into words the experience from here at Bow&Bridle.
You were born primal. You were born primal.
I once again thank all of you as well, and I mean that, for checking out the kiLLs It podcast, keeping this going. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. Hope you got a lot of fun listening and enjoying, maybe even learning something. Who knows? But check out Bow&Bridle Whitetails. It was an epic experience, and we will be coming at you again soon with the next episode of kiLLs It.
That's the beauty of it, though. We are truly able to manage and manipulate and control, buck-to-doe ratios and things like that. So you get what everyone, perceives to be, chasing, and the rut and the grunting and the bleeding and the, every hunter, I think, dreams about seeing that and being in their stand, right? I mean, I know I did.